Hello all, I am Vanisha. From now on, I will continue the presentation. Coming to the Scrum events, um, these events are specifically designed to enable the transparency required. So, if there is a failure to operate any events as prescribed, results in lost opportunity to inspect and adopt. So, generally, events are used in Scrum to create regularity and to minimize the need for meetings. And optimally, all events are held at the same time and placed to reduce the complexity of the project. So, Scrum artifacts represent the work or the value. They are designed to maximize the transparency of key information. Like each artifact contain commitment to ensure it provide information that enhances transparency and focus against which progress can be measured. Like Scrum artifacts include the product backlog, backlog burn down, sprint backlog burn down, and the product backlog delta report and the impediment list. For the product backlog, it is the product goal, and for the sprint backlog, it is the sprint goal. And these commitments exist to reinforce the empiricism and the Scrum values for the Scrum team and the stakeholders. Uh, these Scrum artifacts helps us in the decision making of the project so that we can improve the project quality and the transparency required to complete the project. Sprint planning. Sprint planning initiates a sprint by laying out the work to be performed for the sprint. This resulting plan is created by the collaborative work of the entire Scrum team. Sprint planning basically addresses why the sprint is valuable and what can be done with this sprint and how we choose the work that need to be done. So firstly, we come prepared with the data and the estimated points, and then we confirm estimated story points for all items on the backlog or the minimum in the next sprint. And if these two are okay, then we agree on the items to move to the next sprint. Then we determine the team's capacity for the upcoming sprint and compare it with the total story points proposed. So finally, at the end of the meeting, with the question and answers to ensure all the team members are on the same page. So this basically the sprint planning helps us to organize the way we do our project. So generally, sprint planning. So in the sprint planning, we have different stages like the initiation, planning, estimates, implementation, review and retrospective, and the release. In is initiation, it is one of the most critical steps of the Scrum methodology, and it sets the foundation for the rest of the project. During this phase, the team will create the project vision, outlining a roadmap with the main objectives, goals, and deliverables. They will also identify all stakeholders, assigns the team members to each role, and determine the form like the epics forming the project backlog. The project backlog is a list that contains features that will be implemented during development, ordered by the priority. So once all the processes related to this phase are complete, the team will be ready to move on to the next phase. The next phase is the planning and estimates phase. Product epics cannot be accomplished with just one task or feature. In order to achieve the goals of a product, like the Scrum team must complete several actions. Generally, these are called the user stories. User stories are quicker to implement, even though there are formatted the same way as product epics. Work is first organized into Scrum sprints, like 2 4 week periods. These sprints end with the progress in the development of the product. During this phase, the Scrum development team does sprint planning. The team identify which user stories they had like to work on during the sprint. This is called sprint backlog. So next, coming to the implementation phase, this phase is about executing the tasks and activities um to accomplish uh, product goals and complete project deliverables. So daily stand-up, like the daily stand-up meetings and the burn down chart monitoring and keys to this phase. Everyone in the team shares what tasks they have to do for the next coming phases, like the current day. If any issues they face, they discuss among themselves. So burn down charts are used here to compare the working of each team member and how much work has been done by the team. Next, coming to the review and retrospect phase, this stage of the project is very essential for this agile scrum process and should be done after every sprint ends. This is where we can evaluate what was successful, what could be improved, or how to move forward with the project after gathering the feedback from the customer and the team insights. The sprint review allows stakeholders and team members to access the project progress. The last phase is the release phase. In this phase, we this is the final stage of the Scrum sprint, and we need to be ready with our project deliverables, and we need to deliver those to the customer and determine documenting and absorbing the lessons learned during the project. Next, coming to the daily scrum. Daily scrum is basically used to inspect the progress towards the sprint goal and adapt the sprint backlog as necessary, adjusting the upcoming plan work. It is generally daily scrum is done every day, like 15 to 20 minutes in even for the developers of the scrum team. Like if the product owner or the scrum master are actively working on items in the sprint backlog, they participate as developers. These daily scrums, they help us to improve our communications and promote our decision making and also eliminate the need of other meetings. So, sprint review. The purpose of the sprint review is inspect the outcome of the sprint and determine the future more adaptations, like what work can be done to improve our project and give the deliverables in time to the customer. And it presents the reviews, like the results of their work to the key stakeholders, and take the inputs of the customers and improve the project. During this event, the Scrum team and the stakeholders review what was accomplished in the sprint and what has changed their environment requirements. The sprint review is the second to last event of the sprint and is time boxed to a maximum of 4 hours for a 1 month sprint. So for shorter sprint, the event is usually shorter. Sprint retrospective. As we discussed earlier, the purpose of the sprint retrospective is to plan ways to increase the quality and effectiveness. The Scrum team generally identifies the most helpful changes that we need to improve so that it improves our efficiency. And the sprint retrospective concludes the sprint. Okay. Next, coming to the Scrum software development life cycle, it basically has 6 phases. Like first level high, this is created in a document called the product backlog or the by the product owner in the association with customer. All the stories and the tasks are prioritized. Then these tasks, after prioritization, they are divided into sprints. Each sprint will contain set of tasks. So this sprint planning, the documentation is created by the sprint backlog. So the sprint backlog responsibility is given to the Scrum team. Now coming to the sprint process, we already discussed about the sprint process. So we'll come in execution phase, wherein the Scrum team will mainly develop and test the activities of the user stories. During sprint execution, the Scrum team daily meets to discuss the progress of the project. These are organized by the Scrum Master, as because the Scrum Master plays the role of a leader. These meetings are called the daily stand-up meetings. Basically, they last from 15 to 20 minutes duration. In this meeting, every team member interacts with each and everyone and get the update of the work that has been in the progress, and they get the inputs from everyone, and they plan accordingly uh, in the next stages of our project. After the end of the sprint, Scrum team will do a sprint review and also the sprint retrospective as discussed. This helps them to plan the next sprints. After the sprint retrospective phase, like the project is done to give to the customer, like we deliver the project to the customer, like the definition of done, which is also called the acceptance criteria. Uh, the same feedback will be utilized from the for the next sprints from this. So earlier, as I mentioned, the steps 1 to 5 mentioned above are revisited again in the consecutive sprints. Hence, the Scrum life cycle is a continuous process. Like we visit every time. Like here we can see first the product backlog, then we plan a sprint, then the sprint backlog, then again the stand-up meetings and the sprint review and retrospective and the software demo, like the definition of done, like the delivery to the customer. Then we go to the next sprint cycle. Like it repeats until the project gets the perfect time to be delivered to the customer. So basically, product backlog, like it is the product backlog is what we fulfill to get the product goal. A product is a vehicle to deliver value. It has a clear boundary, no, like the stakeholders, users or customers, and the product owner should be answerable, like what should be done, like what should be done to do this product, like to the customer, how we need to deliver the product. Sprint backlog is composed of the sprint goal. I already discussed about, like I already mentioned it earlier. The sprint backlog is updated throughout the sprint process as more as is learned. It should have enough detail that they can inspect the progress in the daily Scrum. So here are some real world examples in the software development or the information technology industry. We have mentioned all the case studies. Um, uh, this is an article, like, okay. We have mentioned every link of the article, like how a Scrum is used for Dutch Railways and Agile project management at Intel. These are the case studies that we have gone through. And this some effects of Scrum 9 months later. It's a good study. And adopt prayer pro Scrum adoption and how to implement Scrum in an interrupt environment. Like many companies, like very big companies, Intel, Google, they all use Scrum to to deliver a product or a project to a customer. So, and the next one is the SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is very important for a project so that we know the strengths and the opportunities, weaknesses, and threats of a project. So, the next time it helps for a different project, or how can we improve the efficiency of a project. Like for the Scrum methodology, the strengths are it's well suited for the custom project because we design it on our own, and there is a quick adaptation, and tasks are prioritized in order of their importance, and work is also done simultaneously by all the team members. Some opportunities in Scrum development is the development goes faster, and the developers, like the programmers, the coders, get more opportunities to speak up about their ideas, and which this also promotes the good relationship between the team members. And these are the weaknesses and threats. Weaknesses are it is very difficult for the Scrum Master to plan or structure and organize the team meetings every day, so that it's very difficult task for one person to plan everything. And maybe sometimes we get away from the project scope, and there is some uncertainty if the client gives us frequent changes. We cannot change those in a certain time. There is an uncertainty, and also it requires substantial resources. Some of the threats to the Scrum methodology is getting lost in details and being sidetracked, because we generally get the list of the user stories and then we plan the sprint and everything. But if we get lost in details at any point, we get sidetracked. So if, like, some people also, if key people of the project leave the project, that is really a big threat. So this analysis really helps us for the project to improve their efficiency and adaptability, and and also improve the adaptation of the project. So there are many Scrum tools like version 1 Rally, but we chose version 1 tool which is more familiar, like we understood it very well. So here I'm going to in detail of the version 1 Scrum tool. Generally, version 1 is an all-in-one agile management tool that can quickly adapt to any agile software development methodology. Also, version 1 has embedded quality assurance as an essential part of the whole software development process. So, these are some benefits of the version 1 which got our attention. Also, it's like version 1, it facilitates an end-to-end agile platform to plan and track all our user stories, defects, tasks, and tests. It gives a easy access to work, and also it is a unified software development, the delivery and the workflow setting in a single package for its users. Also, it supports the integration with different programs such as Bugzilla, Cruise Control, Eclipse, HP Quick Test Pro, Zira, and Microsoft Project and Microsoft Visual Studio. So in version 1, we generally have all the four important tasks, like the product planning, release planning, sprint tracking, sprint planning. We can get all this, like these are the four things we do in a version 1 tool. So, like, there are different editions in the version 1. Some those are Team, Catalyst, Enterprise, and Ultimate. As far as the acceptance and regression tests are concerned, the Ultimate edition of version 1 is designed to integrate them. As we go into their features, the Team edition is a centralized story and defect management, and it is an agile project management, and there are online boards and in-app practice communities. And for Catalyst, we do the sprint review and retrospectives. They are customizable and basic report. And the Enterprise, it's epic management, team rooms, and team like that. There is advanced reporting and dashboards. So Ultimate is agile portfolio management, regression test management, product roadmap mapping, agile visualization, custom reporting, and analytics, planning rooms. This is the best version. As we if we want to integrate something, this works well. So here some we go into the detail of version 1. How do we install the version 1? You have a cloud setup for all our 4 editions. To sign up, we go to this link. When you sign up, when you submit your sign up information, we get a URL for signing into the version 1 team edition. Then we can follow the same process to gain access to the other 3 editions too, like the Catalyst, Enterprise, and the Ultimate. And after installation setup, you need to enter your ID and password and log into the version 1 tool. So getting started here, the first tab you see here is the getting started product release sprint and tracking. It gives you an overview of the major features of the product planning, release planning, like we add stories, create and plan, track daily progress, and the sprint planning. We also have some video tutorials to get familiar with the tool. And here the admin As you are at the beginning of like the project is set up, you can add additional members users as you need to the members list by clicking on the add member. In the project settings, once you insert the members, then you click on the project and specify the level of project by adding its description, the level, and begin date, end date, owner, everything, and the reference what are needed for the project settings. Then for the core management activities, as I mentioned earlier, there are four. The product planning. Coming to the product planning, you can build your backlog by just managing the user stories, test sets, and defects by updating your work. And product planning gives us helpful information such as estimation, associating your work to the epic ranking backlog, when there are such numerous stories and defects and tests. Release planning. In this feature of version 1, you can move any backlog story to any of the releases. Like check the check-in boxes for multiple stories at a time from move to project, drag and drop them where you want. For this for this sprint release to complete, we can follow these tests like the portfolio item dependencies report. We get with these reports. Then coming to the sprint planning generally helps, like the basic functionality of the sprint planning is activate and deactivate a sprint, close a sprint, create a sprint, deleting a sprint, and managing the sprint relationships, so that we be on the up to date with the project progress. So after you schedule your work by using sprint iteration scheduling and the planning capacity, the team members get tasks assigned to them. Then coming to the sprint iteration tracking, here we have different stages. You in detail tracking, you would see all your open work in the selected sprint, including the updated time and the status. And member tracking, it is a list that indicates the relation between the testers and the assigned tasks. Storyboard, it provides us with a clear picture of the stories which have been them in the columns of none, future, in progress, done, and accepted. And the task board can display a view below the team's daily meetings. And test board is the test status of a project. Like we test every day a project with any bugs or anything. And this is a velocity trend. It displays the two established sprints for testing. You can produce results, the reports for showing by showing the team, feature group, start sprint, end sprint, everything, work item, aggregation type. And version 1, a workflow is here. Just as I mentioned earlier, everything, the product planning, release planning, sprint planning, and sprint tracking. These are our references for our research. Thank you.